Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and Daleks and Cybermen, we are the Lonely TARDIS, your journey into Time Lords and space, where three wonderful companions come together to talk all things Doctor Who. And we have come back to chat about this year's Christmas episode, Joy to the World. I'm Dolly Domofsky. Person over my left shoulder to the right of your screen is the Marcus Beer.
There can be only one.
There can be
shit,
only
sorry, wrong franchise.
And over my left shoulder, or right shoulder, left of your screen, Santa Sean.
Oh, hello.
What did you call me?
Hello.
Hello, gentle friends. It is so nice to see.
Is that a tiki mug?
Two of my favorite people. Ooh, what do you got there?
It is.
Let's have a look.
It's from Endor. I don't know if you can make out.
Oh,
How'd you make it all the way to
carvings.
Endor? Did you ride in a TARDIS to get there?
Yeah.
Oh, you
know,
hitch your ride up an AT-ST.
Look,
That's
look.
really cool. That is cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff, right? So
Very good stuff.
That's Geeky Tiki, I'm guessing, yeah? Oh, Geek Tiki.
This was from the Cantina in
Okay.
Star Wars Land in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, okay. So they're now doing their own. Yeah, I got a few of the Geeky Tiki ones, including a scorpion bowl made for two.
Oh.
But they're too nice to drink out of. So Sean is actually being very brave and very cool drinking out of his, whereas I just put mine behind me because I'm a wussy. So what are we talking about?
Joy to the World.
Joy's overrated.
Joy is
Misery to the
overrated.
world.
Nah. Gentlemen, first of all, it is so awesome to see you wonderful people. To see your faces
Great
again.
to see you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Sean recently. I didn't get a chance to see Marcus because he was enjoying his wedding anniversary.
Well, I mean, look, to be fair, when Jeff Keighley throws the Game Awards on my wedding anniversary,
I know, what a jerk.
I would rather spend it with my wife than with Jeff Keighley. No offense,
Listen,
I understand.
I would
it.
rather
No, I
spend it
understand
with
these
your
shows
wife
better than
too. Not in that
Easy,
way,
Tiger.
but no,
Easy,
for sure.
Tiger.
But we did get a chance to bump into you. That's okay.
Yeah,
We'll make it up there.
I'm sorry I didn't see you, but we'll always see each other again, maybe in the summer or something, or if you're ever up before then. So
Sure.
who knows? I mean, I may be on another New York trip at some point.
Yeah.
And Sean and I can arrange to hang out or
Screw that
something,
one
and we'll
up by getting
cause
sick.
trouble.
Yeah.
all good, mate. All good.
Excellent. Well, I have missed you boys. I have missed talking about Doctor Who with you boys. Sean and I actually did not talk at all about Doctor Who while we met up. I wanted to make sure we kept that separate. So we've saved all our pent up.
I wouldn't. It's not like I think you were cheating on me or anything. Okay, I mean it's fine. You can talk to Doctor Who about other people. Okay, we have an open relationship.
But that was obviously before the Christmas episode. So first of all, for people that are just joining us, maybe for the first time or for the first time in a long time, we haven't had an episode since the end of last season, even though we kept saying we're going to try to come up with something. But guess what? Work and life and careers and family and everything else got in the way. So we sincerely apologize for that. But we're getting started now, and I don't know when.
We also don't like
each
other that much. We pretend to be very nice, but there's Sean's diva tendencies, Dali's ego. My unquestionable flatulence. I mean, there's issues.
There are plenty of issues. We did get together earlier this year in June at your place, Marcus, and that was actually quite a lot of fun. We spent the evening there and watched Doctor Who videos and chatted and spent many an hour. And that was worth the time out there by far. Made my trip.
It was great to see you. Like I said, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you in earlier this month, but it is what it is.
We still see each other.
We still talk. We talk on the texts, on the telephone, like what the young people do. We were all skibbity and wibbly.
We're all skibbity toilet.
Why do people keep saying that? I
have no idea what it means.
I refuse.
Sounds
like a nasty to look up what it even means. Yeah,
it's like I can't sit still. I got a case of the skibbities, you know.
Yeah. Listen, if you don't shower tonight, you're gonna catch the skibbities. But we are.
Well, plus it was only a few weeks ago that the season ended, right? I mean,
yeah. It felt like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2 days. We're done. We're good.
Yeah.
Well, the season's about to start again, so we will be. I was
going to ask, when does that start? When does the next season start? I'm not 100% sure.
My money's on March.
In March, you think? Okay. But we're not.
Whatever happened to that rumored spinoff or multiple spinoffs? Or
they're still happening. They're still happening. Yeah, I think they're also coming in 2025. So.
No dates on anything yet, though, right?
No dates yet. But there's plenty of stuff, I guess, that they're going to be announcing pretty soon. Actual dates from what the buzz is happening. They're right around. I thought they were going to announce it on Christmas, but it looks like they're kind of holding off for the beginning of the year to do some of these announcements and stuff. But
everything but our calendars.
Yeah,
they did May 15th last year, but last year they had all these issues with. Shooty filming the end of Sex Education.
Sure.
So, I mean, maybe we'll get it earlier this year, and maybe we'll get it in an order that doesn't hurt our eyes.
Yeah.
No Space Babies Part 2.
Well, yeah.
The Dimageddon.
There were no Space Babies in this episode, the Christmas episode. There was spaciness in a way, a lot more time than space this time around, and that is Joy to the World. Go ahead. Say it, Sean. Just say it.
After the last season, we've reached a point now where anytime the Doctor gets misty-eyed, let alone sheds a tear, I turn to Val. I turn to my wife and I go, "Oh, Marcus is gonna hate this." Every time
that exact same thing. Thought the exact same thing.
Can I just say though, I am not a fan of he was crying every freaking episode last season.
Yeah.
I know.
For the most inconsequential things.
Yeah.
It's like, oh
and
my God, there's a butterfly.
Yeah.
The crying in Joy to the World made sense.
Sure.
Okay. And it felt cathartic. And I have a theory about this that we will talk about when we get.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to briefly recap this Christmas episode. The Doctor finds himself in a time hotel and bumps into several people that are working there. They start disappearing when they're holding onto this mysterious suitcase. And one of those people that grabs the suitcase is Joy. And Joy is very sad. And we'll get into that in a little bit here. And in the end, we find out that Joy is she is the North Star, let's just say. She is the brightest star, and she is joy to the world.
She's the reason for the season.
She is the reason for the season. So this episode was written by Stephen Moffat, and directed by Alex Pillay. And this is the 2025. I'm so glad, by the way, that we've gone back to Christmas episodes and not New Year's episodes. I think it works way better. It gives me something to look forward to when I'm done with all the family stuff and I get back to my house. For me, I think I watched it at like 10:30 at night because by the time we got back, and I had a few in me, so I watched it at nighttime.
You want to rephrase that because you said
a few.
My family and I had just got back and I'd had a few in you. Drinks or family?
Drinks. Well,
okay, thank you.
Family, they're a family in my head. I had some adult beverages, and I was sitting on the couch, and then I ended up rewatching it again just to make sure my head was clear in the morning. But let's get right into it. And I want to hear from Marcus this time because I consider you Mr. Christmas. And whenever we start, I'm going to make it a tradition now that you kick things off on Christmas, talking about the Christmas episode. So, Marcus,
okay,
your initial thoughts, just quick initial thoughts, and we'll kind of go around the table, and then we'll dive into more of the little details here as we do.
Like the Easter eggs, like that it was infinitely better, in my opinion, than last year's Christmas special.
Mm-hmm.
There was no talking off, breaking the fourth wall. There was no singing. Yes, there was some tears, but they were earned. They felt earned this time, not that he's on the same anti-cancer meds that I am that strip you of all testosterone. So you watch a show where somebody stubs a toe and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for them. So it felt like a growth of the Doctor. Nicola Coughlan. Brilliant. I've not seen Derry Girls, and I've not seen
you need to
Bridgerton, because
Derry Girls is fantastic.
Derry Girls is
I've heard good things about Derry Girls, but at the end of the day, they're Irish, so which is very long. It's very crude. No, it's one of those things that's on my list. Sure. I've just got so many other things I need to catch up on and watch. I mean, I'm just watching the entire run of the Orville, for God's sake.
Sure.
So, yes, Derry Girls is something I want to see. I watched the first episode of that, and it did touch a few nerves, because the Irish and the Welsh are very similar in ways that we would probably not care to admit. Plus, we tend to piss each other off, and the only time we unite is when it's this distaste for the English. But yes, I thought she was fantastic. I thought the MacGuffin worked out well. I thought that there was a start, a middling, and an end, which is a rarity for a Stephen Moffat joint, because we did discuss this. He tends to forget things. So yeah, I loved all the Easter eggs too. There was a couple of Easter eggs, one in particular that I don't think you guys would have got, but it did pop up at one point, and happy to talk about that. But I don't want to go too in depth and spoil it for everybody else. So I'll return it back to you. I thought it was one of the best ones that there have been since the Husbands of River Song.
Oh wow! Okay.
Which is my all-time favorite. That's the gold standard bar for Christmas ones, as far as I'm concerned.
I rewatched that one last week, right before Christmas. Yeah,
it
is S tier. It really, really is good. It's interesting you mentioned that about Moffat. I found that Moffat's individual stories are much more beginning, middle, and end. And when he had the whole season run, he had that problem of not doing that or not landing the ending. But I agree with everything Mark said for the most part. I found it a little bit disappointing that our title character, Joy, was in the show for what felt like 15 minutes.
At most.
And most of it revolved around everything that was happening around her.
Yeah.
So I think she was underused. I think she's an excellent actress. Loved her in Derry Girls. Wife got me into Bridgerton.
What you're saying is, even though she is the star, everything revolved around her. Thank you. That's a.
I don't turn his mic off.
Logical.
Is that like a physics joke? Are you like? Is that an astrophysics joke?
Sorry. Continue with Bridgerton. Continue with Bridgerton.
No, it's okay. Do you want to? We can sidebar. You could you're wearing your NASA hat and everything. Are you feeling a little spacey? Yeah.
Yes. Very.
Yeah. She's really she's real good. She's real good. He was really good. This was one of those times where we got introduced to a side character who I would hope is going to show up again.
Yeah.
Was her name Anita?
Anita.
And I was left wanting her to take the main stage. So I thought she did an excellent job, and I loved their interactions together, her and the Doctor. I think it's interesting that this Doctor, we have a version of him now that doesn't freak out because he's stuck in the same place for more than 10 minutes, let alone a whole calendar year. I thought that was a nice touch. It was nice to see him trying to help people, even though he had no idea what he was doing to try to help people. Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it was... I didn't dislike last year's special, but I know it was really cheesy and kind of all over the place and stuff like that. I thought this was solid. This was a really solid self-contained episode for Christmas. And yeah, we can get into some more detailed stuff, but I liked it. I thought it was fun, and it was sort of like heartwarming for the holidays, you know? It was sort of like uplifting and joyous. Joyful? Joy.
It's
joy something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I liked the majority of it. I wasn't so keen on the ending resolution. I think Anita was fantastic as a character, to the point where that whole sequence felt like a Doctor Who episode without the Doctor. And what I kind of mean by that is there was like no real timey-wimey stuff. It was just the Doctor, or it could have been anybody really, going through the motions of being a human. Like the Doctor worked, he met people, he forged relationships with folks. And I think that felt so genuine. And I hadn't seen that from a Doctor Who episode since, I mean, maybe there was a Capaldi episode here or there, really, but it felt really, really charming, and I absolutely love that whole sequence. I did love some of the Easter eggs as well. I don't know if you guys caught that Anita's last name in the credits was Ben, Benn, and then Ben's Anytime era clothing was in the Time Hotel. So I think maybe there's a weird kind of fun little mix. And also Ben's also like a children's book, like a pretty popular children's book series. Yeah.
And so let me explain that one to you, because it's a purely British Easter egg, and that was the one that made me smile the most. So growing up in the 70s, there was a children's cartoon called Mr. Ben, and it was BENN. Okay. And he was a city type who would go into this costume shop. Whatever costume he tried on would take him off to an adventure around that costume. So whether it be the main scene is the suit of armor that you saw right there, the red suit of armor. But he tries that and goes off to medieval times. Spaceman Ben, Cowboy Ben. So Moffat actually did mention this in an interview post airing, that he said he put that in to see if anybody'd noticed. But yes, Mr. Ben, it just made me smile so much. And Sean was like, "What are you grinning at?" And so I Googled it and I showed her, and she's like, "Oh, isn't that cute?" I mean, literally, that was my childhood. For the first time probably in this run of Doctor Who, that something came from my childhood and stepped through into Doctor Who. And it's not a criticism, because, Doctor Who has, is moving on and is, catering to a different audience. And obviously it's still primarily a kiddie show. But to have that type of nod back to the 70s era that was so popular with Tom Baker in particular, and that's when Doctor Who had its heyday before the reboot, was just incredibly touching. So yeah, I want to say big ups to Stephen Moffat for that one. I actually thought Anita's last name was going to be Hug and Kiss.
And oh boy, her middle name is Manta. Her middle name is Manta. Anita Manta.
Womanta.
But no,
fluidity a go.
Yeah, I thought her character was just wonderful, and I did feel like the teardrops were much more warranted in this episode than in previous ones. I still felt like, cool, we got another crying doctor episode, but yeah, it felt a little more grounded because of that when that happened, because there was some more pure emotion there instead of just written emotion. There was actually the acting emotional aspect of it. So I felt like this episode to me felt like Ncudi's actual first Doctor Who episode. And kind of what I mean by that is he has fully now taken the role, of Doctor Who. He's did it for a whole season, but he was able, and remember that first season, he was shooting other things in between Doctor Who, right? He had Sex Ed. I think he had Barbie in there as well and other stuff. This episode was just wholly contained, and I felt like that was, to me, him fully being Doctor Who and understanding everything he did in that previous season, because they did kind of shoot this whole season like 2 years ago, right? Something crazy like that, right after the previous season was filmed. Yeah. So I feel like this was when he was truly able to be his full self. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I didn't like the ending. That can be hit or miss, but I enjoyed everything else. I enjoyed everthing else around it.
Why do
I thought the ending was predictable? I mean, it
really
was.
I must not have been paying attention.
I didn't think it was predictable.
No. When he, it's like, she's this star, and you see it every freaking where. And then he's in this area, and I'm like, I told to Shauna, and I said, it's the freaking Star of Bethlehem. I know it.
Yeah.
And look, again, I unfortunately, because of the weaponization that's undergone religion in particular over the last 4 or 5 years, I mean, it's always been weaponized, but it's really weaponized right now. I tend to have an allergic reaction when I see stuff like that. But it actually did take me back to a more naive time where the world was smaller, or much bigger, rather. And I could imagine 7 or 8 year old me watching that and going, oh, cool. That's where Jesus comes from. I mean, obviously now I'm old, bitter, and heart shrunk 2 sizes in one day, but I could appreciate it. And in a one-off special, I mean, what would have been really funny, in my opinion, is if it had been hovering over Mexico City so Jesus could have been born. But that's just me, because I've got this rather nasty streak running through. But no, I thought it worked well. I thought Anita was great. Okay. I thought it did, and we discussed this in the text, it touched back on the doctor's therapy.
Yep.
And I hope to Jeebus or whoever's up there, that this is the last time we have to deal with this. Now, I hope that the therapy between what David Tennant's doctor is going through off screen and what this doctor went through for a year when he was working in a strange little hotel, the Sandringham or whatever it was, in London, or wherever. I mean, they said it was London. It looked like fucking Cardiff to me. I mean, it literally looked like Cardiff. When they had the opening thing and they were showing the hotel, and I'm like, that's Cardiff. But yeah, it made sense, and it was lovely to see this platonic love affair develop between Anita and the doctor, and for him to almost grow his human side. I know he doesn't have a human side because obviously, when they tried to do that, Fox were involved, and it wasted Paul McGann's tenure. He doesn't have a human side in that he's half human, but I just think it was this doctor's version of growing and centering and healing. He was allowed to cry when he was saying goodbye to Anita because he'd spent a year with her. And some of those comedy little scenes were great. I agree with you that Joy didn't perhaps get as much airtime, but I think it was better for it. I think her character, when we got to the denouement of her being a big French word as well. Look at me, I swallowed a thesaurus for breakfast. When we got to the reason for her checking into a hotel on the holiday season
for the season,
the original reason for the season, that would obviously hit very home and it was meant to be a political statement as well, because in Britain, while lockdown 2020 was going on, the Conservative government were breaking lockdown and were having parties, Partygate, all this bullshit, of which they've got away with because the entire system's corrupt. But I will not go on and talk about that. But to see her talking to her mum on FaceTime,
oh geez, heartbreaking,
and then her mum going, and that hit me because when my mum passed last year, I'd spoken to her the day before on the phone, and you just wish for another phone call, or you wish for another video chat. I mean, it's the second year now, second Christmas I haven't been able to video chat with my mum, and it gets emotional, and I can see why she's got this open wound 4 years later. And honestly, I think she was going there to commit suicide, because if you see her when she checks into the room and the lady goes and Anita goes off to get the towels, she opens up the drawer where the hairdryer always is, and she pulls out the hairdryer. And it's not, oh, I'm going to do my hair up and go out. She's planning on checking. I don't think she's planning on checking out. That's the sort of thing where you go into the bathroom, you run a bath, and lob the hairdryer in, which is quite dark, but I can see it. I mean, and then it's turned into a comedic moment where it's like she's got, she's holding it to not shoot the Silurian. But I think if they'd have explored that perhaps a little bit more, if that had been mentioned, that could have actually been, to talk about something from the well of despair, from the very brink of departing this mortal coil as a suicide to becoming the literal star, the North Star, would have really made the arc even more powerful. But to see her, take the star inside her, and then, she realizes now she's got purpose because she's felt listless ever since her mom died in these horrible circumstances, and the fact that she managed to then take her mom while she was still alive to join her in this. I mean, that was some beautiful stuff. I mean, it did affect me. I had some tears running because it's still an open wound for me, and I think a lot of people will feel that. A lot of people who obviously lost their loved ones and couldn't be near them in 2020 and 2021 because of the British government's mismanagement of COVID. I think that was a rallying cry for all of them, or just we see you, we hear you, we know what you've been through. So yeah, it rang, no pun intended, Christmas bells. It rang on the bells. It was really, really good. I mean, it was sad to see the star take the people that it took, including the security guard, who then had his moment back.
Trev.
Oh, boy, Trev.
Yeah. That actor he plays the goof so well. He was in Yesterday, and he's been in a bunch of other shows.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's such a great comedic actor. So yeah, to see him back was great. And I mean, I would like to see the Time Hotel used again. And indeed, Russell T Davies and David Moffat have said,
I think so too.
It's something that they could do. Whether it's an episode of Doctor Who or whether it's its own little spin-off where, you're looking at this sort of like time travel soap opera, whatever. But I think it's a really interesting thing. I think it's bizarre that they've never had a time hotel in 60 years of the show. Thought it worked well. Right from the second the Doctor walks out in his very stylish dressing gown to get some free milk. And the fact that he's got 2 mugs with him. Because force of habit, but he's on his own. And I will say that despite obviously he had Anita and this sort of thing, him not being burdened, and no offense to Ruby Sunday, Monday, with 3 weeks on Tuesday, it was better for her not being in this episode, even though we saw little bits of her.
A little vignette.
Didn't need her. Wasn't missed at all. So much so, I'm actually kind of dreading when they introduce the two, her back and the other character, because sometimes you don't need a crowded TARDIS. Sometimes an empty TARDIS is all you need.
Sure.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Sometimes an empty TARDIS. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, Dolly. You said 2 things that resonated. I think this was my 8th Christmas since I lost my mom in 2016. So that wound definitely heals. It scars over, but it never goes away. And so the minute you start seeing stuff like that, and I won't bore anybody with the details, but I was across the country and I had to come home. And then a couple of days later, the final conversation. Anyway, I empathize completely, Marcus, because it's brutal, and what she went through in the show is brutal, and timely and resonates with a lot of people, and I appreciate that they went there with that, because it's everybody thinks it's gone in the back of our the rear view and it's never come back, whatever, and for a lot of people they've got to deal with that for months, years, the rest of their lives still. Right. So I was gonna say I thought it'd be a little dark if they went outright suicide on Christmas, but then the episode ended with the mom in the hospital room, so we were there anyway. So I really like that. And then on a lighter note, in my cantankerous style, I love the idea of him walking out and not realizing he doesn't need 2 mugs. But what I didn't like was like, this is what happens. They move on. They've got to get on with their lives. That's not what happened. That's the ending of the last season was very strange to us, if you recall. Because for some reason, he just was like, you're done. We're leaving. I'm out. Goodbye. And he just, kicked her to the curb. which I still don't fully understand. So I kind of like that bothered me a little bit, not in like a way that like would ruin the episode or anything like that, but I turned to my wife and I was like, but she didn't leave him this. She wanted to keep going. Why is he like this? So I don't know if they'll address that or not, but that kind of tickled my brain in a way that I was like, that's not what happened. Why would they write it that way? I don't like that. So
collective amnesia. I will say I loved the argument between the two shooties.
The two shooties?
Yes.
And the fact that when we replayed it, it made so much more sense.
It was really well done. That is peak Moffat. That is peak Moffat. Moffat Bootstrap is that. Yeah, when he's on, that kind of writing is it just sings.
So. It reminded me of the episode he did last season where he's on the landmine, because I rewatched that again recently. I actually rewatched that entire season, and
great.
Apart from a couple of high points, that episode and the one where they're in Wales and the doctor vanishes and the TARDIS gets overgrown, that whole 62 yards thing. And unfortunately, last season was not as strong on a rewatch. And so that's why I think I reacted this so positively to this one, because coming up, I mean, that finale with Sutek, after rewatching those two episodes back to back, it was like, oh, Russell, done it again, bad boy. So yeah, I will agree with Dali. This felt like Shutigatwa taking ownership, and
I think being on his own really helped that. Yeah,
it's the first time we've seen him in print on the role, and he didn't have to worry about anybody else. He didn't have to worry about any other characters he's playing in other shows. So I thought it was all the better for it. And when he came out of that 1 year sabbatical, that was a new Doctor. That was a really good Doctor that I'm really interested in seeing next season in a few months.
I'm curious where they take him. I'm curious if how they follow up, because Ruby's still around. You know, that tease at the end that he was calling her, but it was just her mom. I thought that was actually really well done. I shouldn't say just her mom, but when you compare to the Doctor, everybody's just her mom. I liked that. It's a nice little way to let people know that she's coming back. Although I guess you could, in theory, think that it's just a nod. Well, but anyway, I'm curious how they're going to do that, and if they're going to talk about that at all, because we know she's in the next season, at least partially. Yeah. And I'm curious if they're going to address at all the emotionality of this Doctor, because it has definitely become a divisive talking point amongst the fan base. To Marcus's point, every single episode, sometimes multiple times an episode. And you don't want that to detract from a Doctor who's in touch with his emotions, but if it's every single time, then now I understand. I wasn't I kind of saw it last season, but it didn't bother me too much. But now with the Christmas 2 or 3 tears in every single episode, now I'm like, okay, I really hope there's a point to this, because otherwise you're going to lose the sort of impact you're trying to have here with diminishing returns. So I'm curious if they're going to make that a point, like a plot point in the show for his character.
Did you see? Do you see that? I would imagine that if they carry on with this whole tearful Doctor, could you imagine if he's got a Genesis of the Daleks moment where he's like, do I have the right? Or if he gets rid of a bunch of Cybermen who used to be human, is he going to cry there? I mean, if it's a seismic, world-altering event, is he going to cry, and how long is he going to cry for? And it has become a running joke. So yeah, let's hope it is the absolute last one. I'm glad they're still calling it Mavity.
Yeah,
I love that too. Yeah, I picked up on that too. Yep.
And the pun on the mug, it's like, keep the mug, it's bigger on the inside. So that was a flashback to that was at Pine 80s Camp Doctor. But yeah, that was a great one too, as far as I'm concerned.
I liked all the timey-wimey we got, and I liked, because I was left really let down by the big reveal and season climax and all the big season-long story last season. I'm saying season too much, but last season. So I appreciated here that there was none of that. It was just contained story, no big mystery. Joy's not going to go on, and because I'm kind of over it. Like I'm here now for the performance. I'm here because I love the show, but it's going to take an actual proper resolution and delivering on that to get me back into like his ability to deliver on the big season arcing plots, because I just don't think he's got it.
The fact that we saw the military contractor again from that other Moffat episode is this time they wanted their own personal star. So I think if Moffat's writing an episode, I've written an episode for the forthcoming season, I wonder if that's going to be Moffat's particular angle that he's been given carte blanche to pursue this arms manufacturer. Because I think that is fascinating. I mean, having, a star and limitless energy and how much of a weapon that can be. And the Doctor saying, this is, what was the name of the company?
Villengard?
Villengard. Yeah. He's like, they don't like me very much.
Villengard.
Villengard. Yeah, whatever. Reminds me of the latest Dragon Age title, the Veilguard. But yeah,
what, the Veilguard?
What if the head of that is indeed the Veilguard and is tied into whenever shooting degenerates? Because that one's coming down the pipe. I mean, his star, no pun intended, is on the ascendant. I would, he's just finished season 2. He's done 2 Christmas specials.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be surprised if, they're obviously starting season 3 soon. And then it's going to be glowy, bye time. And who do we go with next?
You think he'll keep the 3 tradition?
I think he'll do 3 in a special. I mean, Shooty's very much in demand. And understandably. And I think, he's going to serve his time. I don't think he'll go to 4.
Do you think Russell sticks around?
I don't know. I think that the big difference this time is the BBC is not interfering.
Right.
It is a Bad Wolf production for the BBC and for Disney Plus. So I think that all depends on how the spin-offs come.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know he was very unhappy with how Torchwood ended up, especially Miracle Day. And it didn't get much respect out of the BBC, even though Children of Earth was one of the greatest miniseries that's ever been produced by the BBC. I mean, if he, he's still doing his other things. And if he is going to be the Doctor Who universe's Kevin Feige, he just has to keep on getting good people in. He can run a season and say, I want to hit these points, and then Moffat and everybody else, not Chibnall, they can all go off and write and everything, and then execute and boom, and who knows? This, I think he'll do it for as long as he loves it. And the fact that he's working with Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner at Bad Wolf is something that I think really makes it easier for him. Because the BBC is fantastic, but the BBC has always been crippled by budgets. It's been crippled by politics. The old boys network for the longest time. And, then we had the Conservative government trying to basically ram them into the ground and turn people against them. So, and then there's the rise of streaming too. And that's why I think the Disney Plus thing on a streaming front, by the way, this was up on Christmas Eve our time.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it went up the freaking day the night before. I didn't realize that until the next morning. Yeah, when I just turned on the TV and boom, there it was. So
I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was simulcast this time. So 5:30.
No,
UK.
They put it on. They put it on BBC iPlayer prior to thing, and it's. I think it might have affected the ratings because Doctor Who was actually the 4th most watched show in the UK on Christmas Day, right? With Prince Charles, King Charles's speech was in 3rd. The new Wallace and Gromit movie was on in 2nd, and then what I was talking about before we started, the Gavin and Stacey series finale, that was the most watched show of the day. and it's one of the most watched shows I think in a long time. So, so maybe it might have impacted that, but I mean, thankfully there were no spoilers. I mean, I religiously stayed away from spoilers for this, and I'll do the same for the new season. I think that's the only way to go into Doctor Who now. I really do. I mean, I'm not watching trailers. Didn't watch the trailer for the Christmas special, and it felt really good to go in and not really have a clue.
One thing I did want to bring up was just the. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh no, I was just wondering. So I assume that means you didn't watch the Coming in 25 trailer.
No, it didn't, because it didn't run on Disney Plus.
No, it's on
YouTube.
Which is fine. That's one of the things I actually like. Let me finish digesting this meal first before you advertise fucking supper. You know, I'm getting old like that. I used to be able to consume it and like, wow, I want to have that.
Marcus eats supper at like noon. So
he's on that intermittent fasting thing.
He's intermittent Doctor Who fasting.
1 day on, 6 months off. Yeah.
No, I was going to bring up I really thought that the set design, the Disney Plus money went really far here. Everything looked fantastic, even to the CGI T-Rex that was in this. Just beautiful. Like the Time Hotel was wonderful. Every door being a different design. I thought that was great. The small hotel room had so much detail in it. Yeah. It wasn't just a hotel room that they found, and started filming it. They actually designed this hotel room. There were a lot of details in it. You had beautiful city shots. You had just all kinds of great quality visuals in this episode, and I really thought it was fantastic from that standpoint. So kudos to them. Like they definitely stepped this. This really did feel like a big time Christmas special. I think that actually ended up working out really well. From that standpoint.
I have a question about the plot as I drink and be merry with my merry men here. So do they eventually? So the whole point of using the star, growing the star, is it'll go up in the sky. At least from Belengard's perspective, it'll go up in the sky and be an unlimited amount of energy to harness and whatever.
Yeah.
But do Joy and Friends then co-opt that? Does Belengard never get to the star? Like, does it do something different than it was always going to do at that point in history? I was a little confused about that. It doesn't matter really, but I was a little I was trying to get the story right in my head for that part.
No, I think it was designed to detonate a starseed. Like I said, to become some maniacal tool that was going to be used, and it got co-opted.
So do you think they're harvesting the North Star?
I don't think it was going to be the North Star. I thought it was going to be maybe someplace else until it made its way through the Time Hotel to Joy.
Okay.
So can we go through? I've got a list of the Easter eggs here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give this kudos out to Den of Geek because they went through this with a fine-tooth comb. So first one. So the first one on the Orient Express, the girl the doctor talks to, her credits name her as Sylvia Trench. Sylvia Trench was the first ever Bond girl and featured in Dr. No and From Russia with Love.
Oh.
So that's Easter egg one. Bilbo Baggins' front door was in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did put that in for a nod to Weta and to Peter Jackson.
I love
the restaurant, De Tamblers, is it's basically the name of the main character in the book The Time Traveler's Wife. Now, Moffat produced the HBO version of that. Admittedly, it bombed.
Yeah, it did bomb.
Yeah. So this is, again, some of this is just how they've managed to do this is beyond me. So the newspaper tucked under the doctor's arm when he's stealing milk from the Time Hotel snack bar has a couple of interesting stories related to Doctor Who's first episode that Moffat wrote. The headline's Prisoner Zero found innocent. Because obviously Prisoner Zero has escaped. And then Duck Pond mystery. Because the ducks in the duck pond where Amelia Pond lived, they all went missing.
They did.
Yeah, so apparently that was in there. Let me see what else. They talk about Mr. Ben's Any Era Antique. They say that the Time Hotel has a bunch of, doors to a bunch of Doctor Who episodes. There's the OK Corral from the Gunfighters, Pompeii from the Fire of Pompeii.
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
The Pyramids of Giza from Pyramids of Mars, Romans, and An Earthly Child went back to Stone Age. I mean, when you're dealing with a time traveler, I'm sure this stuff is,
absolutely.
They talk about Villain God. What else? I think that's probably it. But yeah, they say those are the main ones that some are tenuous links, but I love the idea that they did put the door in there to Bilbo's house.
That was great.
They had a joke about the submarine door. It's like, who wants to go on vacation into a frickin' submarine? It was, so yeah, I thought it was a strong episode from Stephen Moffat, and like Sean said, I mean, he nailed the start, middle, and ending, and great. I just I love it when he does that, when he's on form, when he's he's given us some of the best episodes of Doctor Who since whatever, really. So long may it continue. I really hope he manages to churn out an episode or so a season where Villain Guard are perhaps the enemies. Oh, the Valeyard Guard.
The Valeyard Guard.
The Guard of the Valeyard.
I want to give double props, Marcus. I pulled up the scene you're talking about when he's in his robe with the newspaper.
Yeah.
Props to these guys for finding this, because you got to really, really pause it, catch it, and then see that it's the words Duck Pond. It is well done. Well done.
Yeah, it's well done. I'm going to give full kudos to Louisa Mello.
Okay.
Louisa Mello, who is the Den of Geek UK TV editor. I've always really loved Den of Geek. I think it's a great little site.
Yeah,
they don't drop into hyperbole. They don't drop into a bunch of clickbait. So yeah, they're a smaller site, but people should give them a looky loo. I think those guys are awesome, guys and girls, and everything. Yeah.
I forgot he puts on his coat and his shirt too. I forgot he changes. He's like, "Why did I do that?" Go back out. Not just the mugs, but when he goes out to solve the. He didn't even know why he was solving the mystery at first. He was just on autopilot. It's just such a great touch. Moffat really gets this show, man. I mean, I know we had our issues with his run and his inability to, pay things off. But, man, when he cooks, he's just... There's arguably no one better.
He suffers from what I like to call Will Ferrell syndrome. Can't lead, but excellent in support. You want him to write a one-off or a two episode arc, he is your guy, because all he has to focus is on those two things. But if he has to run a season, much like Will Ferrell, if he has to be front and center, he has to go big and go and I think I'm glad he's doing so well and writing some really good Who again. And I mean, we know that him and Russell T have always bonded very well. That's why we were so pleased when he took over from Russell T Davies back in the day. But yeah,
I did read that he doesn't have any episodes in the hopper after Christmas, but that could be a lie. So
yeah, we know Russell lies.
Yeah, but
we know Russell lies.
I think he said he's done unless the right story hits or they ask him to come back. I don't know, but I don't know.
You can't leave Villain Guard hanging.
Right. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they can't. Like Russell could pick it up and run with that ball too. He doesn't need money.
Yeah, but I don't want Russell to run with that. I mean, so the other thing is, I don't want them to string it out as much as, do you remember with the Silence and how that was so strung out?
I have no
and the papal mainframe, and Villain Guard we've seen again is a religious army, and I don't want to get down that, but just make Villain Guard a 3-episode arc. So we've had the first 2 episodes. Now focus on them and finish them off. That would be my request from Santa. So, Dali, what did you think of it? I mean, you've been quiet listening to us.
No, I mean, like you guys have nailed it. I mean, like I said, I think great Easter eggs, little touches here and there, fantastic characterizations. I really want to see. I really feel like the Villain Guard is going to be something that's looked at later on. We're definitely going to dive into it more. And I feel like we're going to see Anita again. You don't leave a character like that who had, who's so compelling. Having her kind of disappear forever. I think she is a true. She's just a character that people can connect to, and I think that's something that Doctor Who can often miss sometimes, is having that character that everybody can sort of do a good connection to. So I think Anita does that, and the Time Hotel is just great. I think that's something that I want to see more of the Time Hotel. I think the Time Hotel, the concept, I'm amazed it had never been in Doctor Who before. Yeah. I thought it's such a cool idea that, hey, you can go in any one of these locations, and you can get your gear down at the Era shop downstairs, and go through this. I thought that was really cool. Great to see the Silurians back. The Silurians are back, and they're cool with humans. There was the almost name drop of our characters from colonial times, who were the Silurian
times? Strax and Vostra?
Yeah, Madame Vostra and
Strax and Jenny.
Yes, so they almost mentioned them, which was very cool. Like, came so close.
Did they?
It was in when the Queen was during the bombings. They mentioned something about they're like, I knew a woman who knew how to do that, and he said they said something like, oh no, actually it was 2 women. I thought that was actually kind of an interesting little tidbit there. So that was a cool little Easter egg. But I thought there was great little, and the fact that you were like, I didn't catch it. Those are the great little connections that they were able to sprinkle in these. Every single one of those little scenes that the Doctor went to, I thought was great, because they do have some sort of tie into either Doctor Who or British or something that is sort of a great historical type of connection. So overall, I liked everything. I just felt the ending was a little forced with, she's gonna be the star. There it is. She's the star that guides. She's the whole reason for Jesus. And I'm like, God, do we need to? It just feels like the moon egg all over again in a weird way. Better written, but still, it's like, I don't need this Doctor. I don't need Doctor Who forced to everything. I would have loved if it was just, her disappearing or becoming a star. But either way, I think it was fun for 90% of the episode. And I thought that was
the thing I loved about it. The guiding star, the North Star in Bethlehem, off to one side, is that everybody who'd been visited already via that door in Time Hotel in different eras, this star shone as a bright light to fill them full of joy.
Sure.
As well as guide them, give them hope when they were at the in the middle of the Blitz. To give somebody the hope or the despair from that first conversation that you see. It's like the end is coming. I mean, it's all crashing down on us. Fascism is on the rise. I mean, hello. I mean, this stuff is very, very topical. And the message at the end is somebody made the ultimate sacrifice to be the guiding star for all of us and bring joy to the world. Whether it is the birth of Jesus, whether it is the end of the Blitz, whether it is the end of whatever the next couple of years are going to bring us. We needed that. And I think this episode brought that. It didn't have, trolls or goblins.
It didn't have anything
it
spacey.
Didn't have singing, dancing routines. It didn't, it didn't have the Doctor swinging from a, on a balloon or whatever. I just felt it was good. It was good, and it was something perhaps we need, especially in this country. We know what's coming, and if you are a supporter of the incoming administration, I'm not going to tell you go fuck yourselves. I hope you can actually just use some introspection and look inside and see what your actions are doing. But yeah, I mean, in Britain it's the same. The rise of the far right, the Reform Party. In Germany, it's the same thing. We are at a cusp, and for a show to do this in a way and offer a little bit of joy for 1 hour or 58, whatever it was, minutes on Christmas Day, the one day a year. And look, I don't celebrate Christmas Day for religion. I celebrate it for Santa. I celebrate it for the whole fact that
your beard's slowly getting there. I want next year to have that beard, that full beard going.
That's just kind of the goatee.
Yeah, but just kind of yeah.
Sorry, my point was that it's. I've been doing Christmas since mid-November, since I went to New York, and it's put me in a great thing. And I've kind of come to the end of that season, 6 weeks now. But that was that felt like Christmas.
Sure.
That felt like be good to each other. Look at the lights. Enjoy the lights. Enjoy Hanukkah. Enjoy Kwanzaa. Enjoy Festivus, which is actually the reason for the season. Deep down. But yeah, it just felt like something that was meant to be uplifting. And
it was.
I think it did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
I just have two questions. I'm guessing you'll get us to our final thoughts here.
Yeah.
This was, I guess they're both very lighthearted. So we know that Star, it was so heartwarming with her mom at the end, because really we know that those 2 years were brutal for her.
Yeah.
Or 3 years after she passed away. But I have to chuckle a little bit because we see her start to turn to stardust, which means she's going to be absorbed into the star. I think, like her daughter was, and they're going to. That's amazing. But I feel a little bad for Joy 2020 to 2024. What happened to my mom? She
disappeared.
Died. Where did she go? Can I bury her? No.
Can't find the body.
Stardust. I know it's a silly thing,
but people were not. People were getting cremated.
I know. But then
there was
the hospital was just going to be
it's like there was
sorry,
you really didn't get a chance for a proper burial. It was like boom.
I know. It's more the Scooby-Doo level of like the nurses like looking at each other, just being like, okay, you know what?
How are we going to explain this to the person who...
We'll just say, yeah.
Yeah.
And then my other question is for Dolly. Dolly, why do you hate Jesus so much? Why do you hate baby Jesus?
Listen, he ain't saying that. No. I don't feel like, and this isn't just Doctor Who. This is in all kinds of media. We see it in everything. We see it in Marvel stuff. We see it where they try to, and we did kind of see it in Doctor Who with Chibi's first, the initial run. They try to writers tend to force their stories into history, into like, oh, this was the reason that this happened. It's because of Doctor Who. It's because of Captain America. It's because of this. It's like, I get it. You're trying to make a connection to a story, but not every bit of history needs to be linked to whatever the writers are doing, because then it just kind of minimizes what that history actually is. And again, I'm not super religious in this aspect for this specific thing. I just kind of think of it as general. The only aspect that I liked that Chibi did was he backed off on the Rosa Parks thing, said, hey, we're not the reason. Doctor Who is not the reason that Rosa Parks happened. We were just in the background watching with binoculars. Like, we were watching this unfold like everybody else. Whereas I feel like oftentimes someone will come in and say, we're going to stop the bus and we're gonna make sure Rosa Parks gets into certain, so that kind of stuff tends to kind of rub me the wrong way in these situations. And I feel like it's like, okay, you did kind of take the easy way out by making her the star, the guiding light. I get it. Okay, cool. Didn't have to be so literal with it. You could have been. She could have been
she
like
could have been a drone over New Jersey.
Yeah, there you go. She could have been a drone over New Jersey. That's all coming from Sean's house, anyways. No, but she could have been the little star next to the big star. Maybe there was something cool there. So it just felt a little forced from that standpoint for me.
For this woman who had so much pain and so much love in her heart, for it to be that seismic event. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, look, I'm with you. I don't need religion in my Doctor Who.
And this isn't just like, it's not religious. But my thoughts aren't religious based. It's just overall, yeah.
But I mean, look at Fires of Pompeii. That was excellently handled.
Yeah, it was, exactly. Yeah.
And who knows if this wasn't another fixed point in time? Because we know there are obviously Doctor Who's, and they're crisscrossing and they're not quite intersecting, except for every time they need to have a super duper rating special. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought it worked.
Hold on. We had 2 doctors in this episode. Let it be known.
Well, they were both the same doctor,
but they were great. It was a great crisscross.
Will we get chairs in the TARDIS?
Yeah.
That's the big one.
Will we get what?
Chairs in the TARDIS.
Chairs.
That's one of the things. Like, no wonder people leave you. No wonder people, you're always alone. There's no chairs in the TARDIS. I mean, it's true. Yeah. We need a chair in the TARDIS. I mean, that TARDIS is very, very cool, but woefully uncomfortable. That's why I love Capaldi's. Capaldi's TARDIS was hands down the most functional, as far as I'm concerned, with regards to that control room.
So, anyways, that's just my thought. Like I
get you.
I like it when there's a fixed point in time and the doctor's not the cause of it, but how the doctor reacts to it could be, how the doctor's story reacts to it is cool. So that's it. It was just a little thing that sort of not necessarily bugged me, but I just kind of felt like it was an easy way out, an easy explanation.
It's a valid point to raise.
I will say I think I think Nicola Coughlan is a phenomenal actor, and I feel she was kind of woefully underutilized in this because you mentioned it, Sean. She was in there for like maybe all of 15 minutes at most.
Episode,
at most that much. I thought it was like maybe 8 to 10 minutes at most. I would have loved to see her a little bit more just to get that connection to her. I felt way more connected to Anita, and I almost felt like this was her story. Like, yeah, we had Nicola Coughlan's story that was sort of the side, the cookies from the Oreo, but the good stuff was Anita, which was, this is just a person minding their own business when this crazy guy shows up at their door and causes a ruckus. And her joy, not Joy's joy, Anita's joy, was connecting with this one individual, because you see her go through, finding happiness and this sort of fraternal love and this joy from talking to one person, like the stories they tell, the games she loves game night. Like, she looks forward to game night every week. And I thought, God, that's joy to me. Like, to me, that's what this episode was about. It wasn't about like the superficial wild sci-fi stuff. It was Anita's episode, and I freaking loved it for that. So I almost feel like that's what the magic of this episode, and that's the magic of Christmas, is we can resolve stuff with a big giant spectacle with dinosaurs and stars blowing up and time hotels, or you can just have somebody who's living life every single day, finding joy in a cool chair, sitting down, playing with friends. And I thought that dichotomy was just fantastic. Anyways,
I think that's the beautiful part of a well-written episode of Doctor Who, which I think
really
this is that it's not just one joy to the world.
Yeah,
there's multiple aspects of joy there.
Yep.
And I think that's where perhaps we all think, oh, the literal, oh, she's joy and she's joy. But no, the fact that there are other people who get their joy, and I think that's great. I also
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was going to say, every one of those little doors the doctor went through were different kinds of joy. You either have the joy of climbing Mount Everest, being the first ones to do it, or you have the joy of reading a book on the Orient Express thinking, "Oh, this book is fantastic." You know, I think there are these. They were all little moments of joy that the Doctor appeared in. And to me, that was there's something really cool. That was what I found in my second showing. The first viewing of this episode, I was a little inebriated. I had people in me. I was a little inebriated, and I went in with the
joy to the world.
I went in with the sort of the spectacle side. Second viewing of this, I thought, okay, there are some awesome little nuggets of fun and happiness and good time. Even the call with Ruby at the end, I thought, oh, that's joy. Ruby is happy. Ruby was happy in that moment, and so yeah.
And the lack of Ruby brought me joy.
There you go. I think she's fantastic in this show. But we need to finish up. We're at an hour. We're longer than the actual episode of Doctor Who. I want to get your how many jingle bells would you give this out of 5? Let's go with Marcus, Mr. Christmas. How many jingle bells are you gonna give this out of 5?
Give us a 5 out of 5. I thought it was a thoroughly top-notch, well-written, well-acted, and I think Nicola Coughlan's limited screen time made her story all the more impactful because she was in the back of our minds, and then she was brought front and center. And that final speech of hers about how sad she was, not final speech, but the speech about her mum, it's just top quality.
Okay. Sean, how many jingle bells? 5 out of 5? Okay. I'm going to go 4.5 out of 5 jingle bells.
Too much Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dolly wants to stop Christ being in Christmas.
I want to stop Christ. Yeah. It's going to be hummus.
Dolly is Antichrist. Yeah.
Wow. That's a biblical way to put it. With that said, we're going to have a lot of Doctor Who coming up this year. We'll probably
next year.
Sorry, next year. You're right. Next year, we're going to have the spin-off series as well, which that's going to be debuting. So we're going to be chatting a lot over the next 12 months. So if your ear holes are clear, we're going to be shoving ourselves into them. So be ready for that. We will be in you.
The comments, claims made by Dolly do not necessarily reflect the views or actions of the rest of the people on this podcast.
You can find us individually all over the place. You can find us as a group at lonelytardis.com. You can also find us over on Blue Sky. We are at lonelytardis.com on Blue Sky. We are actually verified on Blue Sky because we're linked. I know this because I literally, during the length of this episode, I was tapping away and getting our Blue Sky set up and verifying us. So
thank you for taking care of us on the socials, Dolly.
Yes. I'll also try to get like a Discord or something set up for LT just so we can have the community continue to chitter chatter and have the and yap, as the young kids say. The community can yap and meet. With that said, Marcus, Sean, thank you, wonderful, lovely people, brothers of mine, for joining me and sending our love to all of the folks that are viewing and listening and doing all that fun stuff. Look forward to chatting with you guys hopefully soon. We'll see what happens in the land of Doctor Who. Maybe we'll figure something else out. Maybe my schedule is finally a little bit lighter so I can start doing some more podcasts here and there. We'll see. If Sean likes to do things before 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, maybe Sean can join us as well. We'll see. With that said, we'll see you all on the next episode of The Lonely TARDIS.
Very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, everybody. Hopefully 25 is great for all of us.
What he said.
What they said. Ditto. Love you all. Take care.
Joy to the world.